everyone. Welcome back.
Hello.
I'm Alden from Valve, and I'm here with Al from Valve. Today we're going to talk about how the front page of the Steam store works and how games show up in various sections across the front page. So when we go
Mhm.
out and we talk with game developers, or at least in the past when we've been able to go out and talk with game developers, there's a lot of questions that come up about how do I get my game featured on the front page? How do I show up in section X? How does the top sellers work? How does the new releases work? So today our aim is to kind of walk through all of these sections on the homepage and describe a bit about how each section works and what you can do as a game developer to cause your game to show up in more places. So
Mhm.
Al, why don't you go ahead and share your screen and you can kind of start talking through these various sections.
Yeah. So here, let me share my Steam client. So here's the Steam client. The default when you launch the Steam client is to take you to the Steam store. So that takes you right to the front page here. Starting off with the top, you can see today we're running this takeover for Factorio. And so this is a section up here we'll do for big new releases or major events on Steam. There's not one every day, but today we have this Factorio one.
And those are pretty special occasions, right? They're often around big releases for games that we feel are pretty broadly interesting to a lot of customers because that is especially is a space that shows up to everybody across the entire platform, right?
Yeah, so everyone will see this Factorio takeover when they log into Steam today.
So then if we move down to the next section, this section here. It's titled Featured and Recommended. We also often call this the main capsule within our Steamworks documentation. There's a number of different ways that games can show up here, right, Al? Do you want to talk through a bit
Yeah.
about that?
So this section is a mix of games. We will sometimes feature games here that are similar to the way we feature the games at the top of the page, but maybe a smaller game or event. This also shows top sellers that are just kind of the best-selling games on Steam, along with a mix of personalized recommendations and recommendations from Steam friends or from curators that you follow on Steam. Each one of these kind of has a different display. For example, a top seller compared to a personalized recommendation will show some of the tags that are in common with games that you've played recently on Steam. We'll have curator recommendations. We'll tell you what curator recommended that game. And lastly, we have the Steam friend recommendations. And so we take all those and kind of blend them together so that the list isn't dominated by any one of those types of featured items.
So that means for you as a player, it's quite personalized, but there's also just generally some popular top-selling things that might also be interesting to you as well, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And even the top selling items are somewhat personalized in that we obviously won't show you a game that you already own. So we're showing you top sellers that you don't own, along with these personalized recommendations from either games you played or from friends and curators that you follow.
Mm-hmm. Great. So then the next section down is special offers. This is populated generally with things that are discounted, right?
Yeah, so these are discounts and kind of sale events where we've put a large number of games on discount. We have the larger what we call spotlights, along with these capsules are daily deals here. And at any time, we have a lot of games that are on sale, and you can browse some of them here. And we'll also just show kind of best-selling games that are on sale. And then we have this browse more, where you can go to a page where we offer a lot more ways to kind of browse through all the games that are on sale in the Steam catalog.
Yeah. And some of these special offers are, individual games that are running a weekend deal. So they're big popular games that we have featured in that way. And then some of them, like on the right hand side, the daily deals generally tend to be a bit smaller in terms of games, though not always. Sometimes they're also quite big and popular games. And those we end up setting up in a number of different ways. Either we are reaching out proactively to game developers and saying, hey, it looks like your game would be a good fit for this. And also sometimes reacting to game developers reaching out to us and saying, hey, are there different opportunities that my game qualifies for? So you can feel free to reach out to Steam at any point and ask either through the support tickets or if you have an email address of one of us and ask if your game qualifies for one of these spots.
Mm-hmm. And after that, we get to the sections. The next sections are much more personalized to each customer's account. This first section here, so because you played, this is basically we take a game you've played recently and we show some games that are similar to it based on the tags. And we show some of those tags here. So these are tags that these games have in common with Tyranny. And each time you visit the store homepage, we'll try and pick a different game that you've played and show you some similar games to that game.
And the general effect here is if you've played one kind of game, maybe you're interested in more games in that genre or that theme, or some of the other tags that kind of relate those games with one another.
Yeah, so here we're not only kind of featuring some games that you might be interested in, but we're also kind of like the tags, and maybe you're interested in exploring more of these tags in depth on the store.
Mm-hmm.
The next section is the discovery queue here. The discovery queue it's basically a list of 12 games that have never appeared in your personal discovery queue before. And when you click through here, you're taken to each game's page, and you can just click next through each one. This is a pretty popular way to browse the catalog. And because it has that effect where we don't show you the same game twice, each time you come through your discovery queue, you're going to see 12 games that you haven't seen in that queue before. So you can kind of get deeper and deeper into the catalog that way. The queue is a mix of games that are both kind of personalized recommendations as well as just popular games on the platform. Especially new games. You're very likely to see new games in the discovery queue. And this next section here, the Players Like You Love, this was a experiment we started in the Steam Labs last year, which was called the Interactive Recommender. And this uses a machine learning algorithm that analyzes the playtimes of everyone on Steam and then compares that to your playtime, what games you played on Steam and how long you've played them. And uses all that to generate a list of recommendations that are personalized for you. So it's a very powerful recommendation algorithm, and the games tend to be often are kind of deeper cuts than and not what you would see elsewhere on the store. So we surface some of those recommendations here, and you can also dive in deeper to the Interact Recommender, where you can control things like release date and tags and basically turn a lot of dials and knobs and see a large number of recommendations.
And this section isn't just limited to games that are really similar to other stuff you've been playing, right? It's actually looking at people that play the games that you've been playing. What else have they been playing? And they might be unrelated games, but they're sort of looking at player profiles that are similar to you. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's more of a across your entire play history. So it can be like if you've played a lot of different kinds of games, you'll probably see a lot of different kinds of games in this section. And it's by looking at those player profiles, looking at people who played this game, what else did they play, what have you played, how much those things line up.
Mm-hmm. Then the next section on this page also came out of Steam Labs, right?
Yeah, so this was another Steam Labs experiment we called Community Recommendations. And a little different from other sections of this page, this is less personalized to you specifically, but instead we just look at what reviews on Steam, what game reviews are customers marking as the most helpful reviews. And we just choose a few of those reviews to surface here. So the games here aren't chosen based on what I've played or anything like that, but instead are simply like, here are some games that the community is reviewing positively right now that might be interesting to you. And so we just show those here on the page. An interesting effect of this is that it also uses your language. So for people who are browsing Steam in a language other than English, they'll see reviews in their language, which may also identify games that are maybe more interesting to them because it's localized in their language or is more of a regional game.
Mm-hmm.
After that, we have a set of these big blue buttons. These are actually rather popular. The specials can take you to a page where you can see all the games that are currently on sale on Steam and provides a lot of different ways to browse that catalog. And then we have the free games button that shows a mix of free-to-play games and also just completely free games or demos. So those are both popular destinations. We also have new releases where you can see all the games that are coming out on Steam, and by user tags where you can sort and filter by genre and browse games that way. The next section here, Curator Recommendations. This is similar to the Curator Recommendations that show up above in the main capsule. So these are curators I've followed on Steam. We just pick a few games that they've recently reviewed and surface them here. We show you which curator recommends it, and just kind of present a selection of games from those curators.
Yeah, so depending on how many curators you follow and which curators you follow, you'll see you could see quite different games here from other people that follow different curators.
Yeah, because again, this is entirely based on the curators you've chosen to follow. If you don't follow any curators on your account, we'll show you a set of recommended curators here with some of their recent curations.
Yeah, so that section can help. That can be one of the sections that you as a game developer can also have your game show up in if you're interacting with game developers, with Steam curators. We have a system on our back end called Curator Connect that can help you send review copies of your games to curators. You can search for curators that review games like yours, games that are tagged in certain ways. So that can be a great way to get your game in front of more curators that can then in turn help get your game in front of their own followers and audience.
And then the next section here, this is another section you can control as a game developer. This is recently updated. In contrast to most of the other sections on this page, this is filtered to games that either I have already purchased or have on my wish list. And these are games that have had some recent large update or like a DLC release, big new patch. And this is access to developers by using an update visibility round on the Steamworks site. So these are all developers who've chosen to use one of their visibility rounds to promote this event. And this is one of the places where that surfaces on the store.
Right. We found that, big updates are really exciting opportunities to get the attention of both your existing players and people that are interested in your game, that have wishlisted your game. And that in turn has, downstream effects of their friends see them playing the game again and jumping back into it because it's got new content. So that has a lot of positive reinforcement built in because of the way that Steamworks as a platform. So that's another lever you as a game developer can pull to make your game show up on the front page here to players.
The next section here, from developers and publishers that you know, we have a feature where developers and publishers can set up a page on Steam where you can kind of organize your games that you've released or published, and you can provide like franchise lists or basically different ways for people to browse the catalog of games you specifically have made. And we surface some of those games here on the homepage. Customers can choose to follow publishers. For example, I'm following CD Projekt Red and Square Enix, and so we're showing some games here that are by publishers that I follow, but we'll also simply surface games from publishers that you've played games by. So I've played games by Annapurna Interactive, so there's some game from Annapurna showing here on the homepage.
And this section works for developers and players, whether the developer has 2 games or 200 games. If you, as a game developer, are putting up your first game and putting it up for sale, we encourage you to set up your developer homepage as a way to start building an audience that can follow you from game to game. So then when you release your next game, we can know that those games are related, and we can show them to players here that have played your first game and help surface, hey, the sequel from a developer that you probably care about is now available. Mm-hmm. Great. So let's move on to the tab section. This is quite a popular section, right?
Yeah, so these tabs are very popular. There's definitely a lot of people who come to the store and are looking for these tabs. There's 4 different lists, and we can start with the first list here, is the new and trending list. And so this is some of the most popular games that have come out in the last couple of weeks on Steam. This is slightly personalized in that You can see here I have Battle Brothers DLC, and that's because I own and have played Battle Brothers, but so now there's new DLC, so we're surfacing that here. And also games that I already own wouldn't show on this list. And we're going to find that's true for all of the tabs and most of the homepage in general. But this list doesn't have any like magic numbers that you have to reach to show on the list. Instead, we're just using kind of the relative performance of games, which games are the most popular, most played, or most best-selling of the games that have come out in the last couple of weeks, and then we show them here, and this is just ordered by release date. So this Battle Brothers DLC came out today, so it's at the top of the list, whereas some of these other items came out last week, and so they're showing down at the bottom. The next tab is the Top Sellers tab, and this is, as the name suggests, the best-selling games on Steam. Similar to the other list, we're showing games that are not already in your library. So these are all games that I haven't purchased or DLC for games that I do own. And this is simply just what games are selling the best out of all the games on Steam right now.
Right, so I see a slightly different list because I don't own Fall Guys, so it's actually on the top of the list for me right now. And you see some DLC that I don't see. You see DLC for Fall Guys because you own it, whereas on my top sellers list, I don't see the DLC because I don't yet own the game.
Correct. And again, like Factorio is a top-selling game right now and also a new release, but I already purchased it, so it doesn't show on either of these lists for me. The next list is the popular upcoming list. These are games that are coming out in the next, in the near future. The games show here based on their wish list activity. So we're showing kind of basically the most wishlisted games that are coming out in the near future. And again, this list has no magic numbers behind it or anything like that. We're just looking at what the games are seeing the most wishlist activity relative to other games on the platform. And the last list here is the specials list. This is very similar to the top sellers list, but filtered to games that are on sale right now. We show the discount, and you'll see down here at the bottom, and this is true of all the tabs. There's a button to kind of dig into that category. So here you can click through to see like all the games that are on sale on Steam with a bunch of different ways to filter and browse them. That's true of all the tabs. We have you can see all the new releases. You can see top sellers for your region or for the worldwide top sellers. So any of these lists you can kind of dig deep and get deeper into the catalog. The next section here is the game streaming now. We offer the ability for a developer to associate a stream with your game. So you can basically whitelist broadcast on Steam to appear on your Steam game page. And this broadcast will show right at the top of the store page for your game, but will also feature some of the games that have a broadcast going on right now on the homepage here. This list will like change during the day as broadcasts start and stop, and also we kind of just shuffle it up to keep things different.
Right, so some of these games might be running special events where a bunch of players are excited and jumping in and watching their live streams, and other games might just be popular games that a lot of people are looking at their store pages right now and watching these live streams.
Yeah, and so we're showing the number of viewers, and that counts people who are visiting the game page right now and watching the stream there.
Mm-hmm.
The next section here is trending among friends, and so this is based on my Steam friends list, what games my friends have been playing. We try to find games that have are kind of new to your friends or have either picked up increased activity in the last week or two with your friends. So in this case, Horizon Zero Dawn is a new game, so that's completely new to my friends list. But Quake Champions recently had a promotion, and maybe like some friends have jumped back into that game, and so that's seeing some activity beyond what like we usually see among players on my Steam friends list. So this is just a kind of way to surface some of the games that are popular with your friends right now.
Yeah, so that can be another way that you as a game developer, when you make updates to your game or you run promotions or you do exciting events, this can be another way that can end up showing your game in more places to the homepage simply by re-engaging even just the existing players that already own your game.
And again, these obviously get all that visibility in the friends list as well. You see the notification that your friend is now playing a game. We surface that in other places on Steam. The next section here is the under $10 section. These are just some best-selling games that are either they're priced less than $10 or they're on sale, so they can just games that are currently less than $10. And then the last section here, these are the same as the this updates and offers. These are the messages that you can see in the Steam client. When you start the Steam client, we'll open a pop-up window. We also just show them here on the sale page. These tend to either be like larger events, like you can see this racing sale, soccer tag sale, repeated events like the weekend deals or midweek madness, and also new larger game launches and DLC launches. This is like most sections personalized, so I'm seeing this DLC because I own Dying Light, whereas other customers might not see an ad for DLC for a game that they don't own. But they might see if the game has had like a large update or something, maybe we will run a promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last section of the store page, if you scroll past the footer, is this section we call the recommendation feed. And this is essentially an endless, infinite scroll of recommendations. We have a few different sources. We just take a tag from a game you've played recently and show some popular games with that tag. We show recommendations from players on your Steam friends list. And we also show games that are similar to games that you've played or games that are similar to games on your wish list. And this section of the page, just from this point on, just repeats endlessly. We don't show a game twice. So if you're scrolling through the section and you see a game, if you keep scrolling, you won't see that game again. So it can be a way of kind of getting deeper into the catalog just by kind of very passively scrolling. But yeah, that's basically the end of the homepage.
Great. Thanks, Al, for walking through that. We hope that this has been a helpful way of explaining a bit about how the store works and the different ways that your game as a game developer can show up in some of these sections, and also the tools that you have as a game developer to make your game show up in different sections, whether it's the update visibility rounds, or working with curators to get your game reviewed by more people, running updates, putting your games on discounts. There's a lot of different ways that your game can be showing up on that homepage.
Yeah, and as I mentioned many times, the homepage is very customized to the individual customer that's visiting it. The result is that, like, if you look at the homepage, what you're seeing may be different from what your customers are going to see. And so we do provide in the Steamworks site, there's the marketing visibility tools where you can see where your game has been showing on the homepage and elsewhere on the store, because that may not be where you see it when you browse the store personally.
That's right. Yeah. All right. So thank you very much, and we hope this has been helpful. Until next time,
All right.
see you around.
Bye.